Welcome back to my channel and the second video in the series of the ornaments that I'm making for my tree this year. Again, I'm Laurie from Laurie R Creations, and today we're going to be making these little tree ornaments, and these are actually made out of wood and paper. So pretty simple, and I'm going to show you how to do it. The first one I'm going to show you how to make is the bigger one, and then we'll go down to the smaller one since they're easier to do. The larger one is just made out of, it's called, I believe, basswood, or I don't remember if it's bass or base. There are 24-inch long strips of wood. They come like this, and you can get these at a craft store. Michael's even has them. They're like for a 2-foot long section, it's like 90 some cents, I think it was. So it was really inexpensive. So we're going to do those, and let's get started. Okay. Now, these can be made in either direction. You can either make them going this direction or this direction. But first, what we're going to do is we're going to get our wood ready. What you want to do is cut 4 pieces, and they're all going to be the same length. Because I want my ornaments to be about 4 inches in diameter, of course, because these two are going inside of these same size pieces, it's going to be a little more going this way than that way. However, it's basically a 4-inch piece. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you how to measure and cut this wood. First thing you're going to want to have is a ruler, pencil, and you're going to measure off your 4 inches with your ruler from the edge. So I just put a little mark right here. Then I take the tip of my ruler and I make it level with the wood so that I can get a nice straight cutting line, and I just draw a straight line. Then I'm going to use this handy dandy little saw I got at the Dollar Tree. It is, I don't know if it's a jigsaw or a hacksaw. I don't know what it is, but that's what this is. And it's really actually pretty handy when you're cutting smaller pieces of wood like this, because the blade is actually pretty thin. You want to really be careful. This is very light wood, and I mean really light, and can easily chip. I'll show you, if I have a piece I could show you kind of, I don't know if you could see it, but it kind of chipped here. So you need to cut carefully. I'm using this ruler that I got as sort of a holder to keep it up so that I have, it has a really cool ridge down the middle, so it really helps to put the wood on there and then do your cutting. Gives you a little space underneath for the saw to go. And then I'm going to take my saw and I'm going to go straight across that line to make my first cut. You can see, there it is. And what I want to try to do is go straight down. I don't want to do any angling with the saw, so I'm going to try to keep it very straight. I'm telling you, this saw, it doesn't take hardly any time to go through this wood. And there we go. So we put the saw away. Next thing I'm going to do, see how there's rough edges? Remember I told you that it will split. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of sandpaper, which you can get a pack of this sandpaper at the Dollar Tree for $1, okay? So I have a whole stack of it. It comes in a very large pack. And what I'm going to do is, what I want to do is just kind of sand that down to where it will fit nice and square against the next piece like that. And it does. And that's all there is to that. You cut about 4 of these. One of those 24-inch long pieces of wood, depending on how you measure it out, will make 1 ornament. I wanted 4-inch long pieces. And of course, when you take 24 and you're cutting 4 inches off of each piece, you know, you should be able to get at least 1 ornament out of that. Okay. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to take some stain. I like using the kind that you rub on because it doesn't take as long to dry, and your results are immediate. Like if you wanted a darker color, you could go ahead and put a second coat on. I don't do that because I really like to see the wood through the grain like that. So I'm going to put on, and this one I got at my local hardware store, but Michael's does have a version of this that I love. So I always keep some of that on hand because I do a lot of wood crafting. All right, and then what I'm using here to put the stain on to the wood is just a simple makeup sponge in the form of a wedge. I bought this packet. I can't remember, I think I got it at Walmart. So it wasn't quite $1, but still on the cheap. So you take your makeup sponge, you dip it a little, kind of get a good amount on there and rub it in. Rub it in. Okay. And generally this is a quick step. I would advise, if you're going to sit down and do this craft and you're going to do quite a few of these, I would advise you to sit down and stain all of your pieces at one time and then put them all together at one time. That way your pieces have time to dry. Okay. Then what I try to do is I take another sponge and I wipe off the excess, because I don't like, if you don't, you're going to have drippy marks and it's not going to look nice. So I just wipe off all the excess, and there you go. You have your stained piece. So this is going to come in handy, this step, when we do the smaller ones. Okay, so I'm going to let that one dry. Kind of wipe off my hands real quick here while we get this ready. So I have one that I started. That way it doesn't take a whole lot. I don't think you guys need to see me saw every piece of wood and stain every piece of wood. So before you put them together, just make sure that they all lie flat. So you're going to need 4 pieces, and make sure that they all lie flat. That way, when you glue them together, you get a nice edge. Okay? And I am using, this might sound funny, but I am using super glue. And when you use super glue, of course, you have to be careful because you don't want to get this on your skin. So if you're going to use super glue, be very careful. Otherwise, you can use any other type of glue that works for wood. You could use your glue gun. I don't like the glue gun because it puts excess space in between your pieces of wood and they don't lie flat. So let's do, came out pretty fast. And I got this glue at the Dollar Tree. A lot of stuff you can get at the Dollar Tree. You want to immediately get in there and hold your pieces of wood together. Press on it so that it stays. Okay. And you want to hold this for a few minutes. I usually count to, I don't know, about 20. And then I'll let go and it seemed to hold. So if you have to hold on to it longer, do that. If you can hold on to it longer, then you got a stronger bond there. Okay. While that's drying, we're going to move on to the other supplies that we're going to need. So, you know how I love mat board? Well, I cut a piece of mat board for the backing of the frame because it's sturdy and it keeps you from being able to see through the paper when the lights on the tree are shining. I don't want to be able to see through my ornament. I want the lights to come down onto the front of the ornament. So I always like to put a backing on something as big as that. The smaller ones I don't do that for because they're so tiny. But these big ones, you need something like that. You'll cut that to size on your frame. And I'll tell you guys, my paper cutter comes in so handy when I'm doing these straight cuts. Excuse me. When I'm doing these straight cuts. And I really recommend having a paper cutter. So if you don't have one, it's the best investment. I use mine all the time. Of course, I'm an artist, so when I'm trimming my artwork to frame and everything, I do use this. All right, so we're going to cut a piece of paper. This can either be cardstock or just regular paper. I'm using cardstock because that's what I had left over. And it needs to be 2 inches by 1 inch. This, of course, is going to go across the back where you attach the hanger. I just don't like the look of a bare piece of rope there, so that's why I do these. So then you have your 2 pieces there, and then the other thing you're going to do is you're going to go to your computer, which I hope everybody has, and figure out what you want to put into your frame. Now, I did a lot of different design ideas, and then I kind of went back and drew around the ones that I was going to keep. But these photos, these Christmas photos, I got these off of the Word program. If you go into Word like you're going to do a document, and you do insert and go to icons, you can find these little guys in here and then put them on one of your documents, like a brand new document, and then you can size it. Like you can see all the different sizes that I did just from that one icon. All you have to do is, click and drag. So I decided on the snowman, the tree, the Noel, the joy, and the merry and bright. Okay. The merry and bright and the joy and the Noel, these are done using the Word program. I just picked a font that I liked. Now, you might want to do a farmhouse style font. If you do, I'm sure there are downloads that you can get for free, and you can use those fonts to do these words for your frames. Okay. Now, the other thing you're going to want to have on hand is your tie, your hanger. And again, I'm a fan of jute. If you're trying to do a farmhouse look, which is kind of what I'm doing, yet it's kind of a modern farmhouse look, jute is the way to go. However, you can use ribbon. Ribbon would not be a bad idea. I don't want to have so much ribbon on my tree that it detracts from I don't want all of my ornaments to have ribbon, in other words. So I'm going to do some that do and some that don't. This one I'm not going to actually put a lot of ribbon on. Some I may, some I might not. Then I have knotting cord. Of course, you can use this too. It's just very thin. I'm not sure that it would, I guess it would work okay on here. I just don't like the look of it. It probably would look better on your smaller little frames. Okay, so I cut a piece of jute for my hanger, and I cut it 10.5 inches long. I also cut a bow because I want to show you what it looks like on the ornament if you decide to go that route. Okay. Now, the other thing about these frames, you can paint them, as you can see in these little ones here. If you want a little variety on your tree, like I'm going to have black and white, but I do kind of like this rustic look, so I might stick with that on the bigger ornaments, and on the smaller ones I might go the colors. I do want a pop or two of teal, so I'll probably do some more of these on my black and white tree. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is you're going to attach your picture, wording, whatever you decide to put it in on your frame to your mat board. Now, there's 2 ways you can do this. You can use your tacky glue, which I got, you can get this at the dollar store. You can use this, but I found a new product that I really like, and it's an adhesive spray, and you can get this at the dollar store. I found this at Dollar Tree. So what you do is, it's glue that you spray over the entire surface, and then you just plop that on there. So that's what I'm going to use. And it says you need to shake it, so that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to spray. I don't want to get it on my... It's kind of runny, but you can feel the glue in it. And it's safe. It's not toxic. It says non-toxic, fast drying, and dries clear. And that's what we always want. We want dry clear. All right. And now we're going to center our wording, picture, whatever have you that you're going to put in your frame. And we're going to center it on there, smooth it out. And the good thing about this is it's still a little wet, so I can drag it a little bit. But then once it's in place and you've smoothed it out, it's going to stay. Okay. Oops, I think I smudged my ink. Then the next thing you're going to do, and by this time, your wood should be dry. It sort of is. If not, go back and put some more glue on it. I'm not going to for purposes of time. However, and also the fact that we're going to be using tacky glue to secure this to the wood, just because I like to be able to move her around and center it on the piece and be able to still, if it needs to be pushed over a little, then we'll push it. So what I'm going to do is figure out which side. This one piece is still a little loose. The other thing about this wood, it comes with, I don't know if you can see it, but like a little UPC thing on it on this one piece. If you don't want that, then don't use that piece of wood. I don't really care because the way that I'm going to frame this, no one's really going to be paying attention to it. It's going to be on the bottom of the frame, so I'm not going to worry about it. I think for purposes of time, I'm going to put a little dash from my glue gun, just to secure it. There we go. Okay. Hold that there for a second. Sorry I don't have any music playing in the background. Earlier today I was playing Christmas music. Of course, November 1st is coming in a day, and my timing is getting tight for having all of my Christmas tree decorations ready to go because I like to put them up, well, long before Thanksgiving. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to put this glue. I think I'm going to clean the nozzle off because sometimes it can get gunked up. And then you get spider webs from your glue gun. It's always fun. This is what crafting is about. Okay, so you just want a thin bead all the way around. And I always put my lid back on my glue right away because I don't want it to dry out. So you can do this two ways. You can just plop it on there, but I really don't want gobs of glue coming off on the other side. So I'm going to use my finger. You can use a, paper towel, whatever you want to do, or a paintbrush even. I'm just going to use my finger because I have a wet paper towel available to wipe it off with. This gets a great bead, like it covers the whole entire piece of wood. Okay, and now we're going to center it over the design. Do that first and then we can move it around. Okay, I'm going to flip it over and then I'm going to kind of adjust it. That's what I like about this tacky glue. It's a little more forgiving than if you're using a glue gun or super glue, which I don't think I'd use super glue for the back of this. I think I would just use this tacky glue. So then anything that weeps out, just know that this glue dries clear, as always, like I've said before. So you don't have to be real concerned if it oozes out a little bit. Okay. And yeah. I didn't smooth that out very well. The other thing you might want to do is when you use this adhesive spray, really smooth out the paper on top of your cardstock or matte paper, because if you don't, you'll get like a little crease there. Anyway, ta-da! Now what we're going to do, we're going to cut our jute string. And I've cut that to, like I said, 10.5 inches. And you can do this one of two ways. I might end up switching to where I'll tie the knot up here, or I'll tie 2 knots, because I think sometimes it looks good and more rustic if you have this raw edge up here instead of this way. So let me show you here if I can. See what I mean? Sometimes it looks better that way. And I may switch it out. The other thing about doing it this way is, if you do it up this way, you can undo this and adjust it. If you do it the other way, you really can't adjust it. That's the length that you're going to have to put through your branches. So I might do the rest of my ornaments with it going this way. In fact, I think I'm going to do this one that way. Okay. And of course, you get your glue gun out and you find the top center. Right there, put a nice dollop of glue. Hold the two strands together and then push. Watch your fingers because it's hot. Okay. Then you take your backing. This is just, it feels like a light piece of cardstock, but you can even use regular like construction paper, whatever. It's just a cover. And it, yeah, I guess it does give a little strength to your hanger. What I'm going to do is, actually, I think I'm going to do it to the cardstock here. Just put enough glue that you can secure the entire thing on the back over top of your hanger bottom. And secure it. And that is it. There's the ornament. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to show you about this ornament, because it's bigger, you can do more things with it. You can do more jute. I mean, if you wanted to, you could wrap jute around the ends. You know, I don't have a spare piece, but you could wrap jute just around the ends to make it look, and then tack it down with some glue from your glue gun and make it look more rustic. Or you can fancy it up a little bit and either put a bow. This is glitter bow that I got from the Dollar Tree. Glitter ribbon, sorry, not glitter bow. Glitter ribbon, 12 feet, that I cut a piece and made a bow out of. You can either tack it here with your glue gun and have a bow up top, or you can put it down on the bottom, which kind of looks cute too. This is if you want to fancy them up, and this might be calling for some fancying up. I don't know. It's up to you. I think it's a personal choice. You could even maybe put it in the corner. It's up to you. It doesn't have to be a white ribbon, of course. You can do red. You can do, what's really cool is the buffalo check, and my tree is going to have some black and white to resemble the buffalo check. So anyway, so you can do this. That is done. So I now have 2 ornaments that I don't have to make for my tree right now. Okay, the next project that we're going to do is very similar to that. There will be no cutting involved in that. What we're going to use, oh, easy peasy, cheap craft, you guys. This one's so cheap. And I'm doing these because I bought one of those small Dollar Tree Christmas trees, and they're, I don't know, probably about 18, 24 inches high. They're almost 2 feet high. And I'm going to put one in each bedroom, and I'm going to decorate them with a bunch of these hanging on the tree. And I'll show you that at the very end of the video when I show you my tree. So how we make these little guys is, believe it or not, we're going to be using the Tumbling Tower game, the Dollar Tree Tumbling Tower game. It's resembling Jenga, if you guys know what Jenga is. And you get 36 pieces in this small box for $1. So with 36 pieces, you could make 9 ornaments, and there's no cutting involved. This is so easy peasy. This is something you can really do yourself and have fun with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 4 of those little blocks, and then we're going to either stain or paint them. I've stained for demonstration purposes. And the cool thing about these is there's no sanding, there's no cutting. All you got to do is paint. You could even leave them. If you're doing a child's tree, it would be so cool to do a blocks, you know, the blocks that little kids play with, the wood blocks, and then do these ornaments to go with it and do ABCs, like print out a big A and put that in, or a V, or the 1, 2, 3s. But it'd be really cool if you were doing a little kid's tree to use these planks so they match the blocks. Okay, again, we are going to be using super glue. Oops, these are the ones I want. Super glue to put these together. And so, make sure you put enough, but not too much, because it will seep underneath. And then hold your piece. Hold it long enough to kind of attach. Then what I do is, I like to lay it flat, because if it slides around, which it just did, if you lay it flat, it's going to always be square, because these pieces are flat to each other. Okay, put the other piece on. The one thing about the super glue, it does ooze out the back, and so when you do put your little designs in, you're going to want to make sure you figure out which side you can see the super glue oozing out, because the front you won't. It drips down to the back. All right, and this is the last piece. I'm going to slide that buddy right in there. Get them all even. I'm going to have to pick this up so that it doesn't stick to my, which is doing a little bit. Okay. And again, I push on it and hold it, and I generally count to about 20. If you feel like you have to do it longer than that, then do it longer. Whatever's going to work for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, I won't do that to you guys. I think we'll be pretty good right here. And see, this will be the back, because that's what was down. So I'm going to adhere my picture to that side so that you don't see the little drippings of the super glue. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of different things. You can either go this way with it, or you can go up and down with it. For the wording, I went this way with it. I kind of tried to do something different for this white one, because the white backing just did not pop on this. So I had bought previously a sheet of chalkboard paper. It's kind of thick and it feels kind of vinyl-y, but it's chalkboard, like you could write with a piece of chalk or one of those chalk pens, which I do have. Ta-da! But what I did was I cut a piece of this black out, because it kind of pops against the white. And of course, those are my two colors on my tree anyway. So what I did was I cut the backing black, and then I went and took what I printed out on my print paper and cut the tree out, leaving a little white around the edges so that it pops against the black. And then I just glued this to this black backing. And because these are small, the cardstock that you print these out on, which I'm sorry if I didn't mention before, you print these out on cardstock. I wouldn't print this out on regular paper. I'd print it out on cardstock, especially if you're going to be gluing. It just holds up better with the glue. But I cut this out and then I glued it to the backing, the black backing. So those are so many. Guys, use your imagination. I'm sure there's some of you out there that are grafters, and this just seems too easy for you. But some people, it helps them to actually visualize all the different ideas. So that's why I always present all the different ways you can do something. So anyway, I really like this, and I may end up doing this again on a bigger one even. Okay, so I'm going to actually do, since I didn't do a snowman yet, I did a tree already. I'm going to do this little guy, this little snowman that I printed from the icons on the Word document. All right, so I'm going to flip my piece of wood over, and I'm going to use tacky glue. Like we did with the bigger blocks, we're just going to run the glue along the edges. I really like this glue. And of course, this is a bigger bottle than what you get in the Dollar Tree, but still, even if you get half the size, it's a lot of glue to use. Okay. And then I'm just going to smooth it with my finger again. make it kind of tacky so that the paper takes right away. The other thing too is if you do these like I'm doing them in real time, you can still do it even if it's a little wet, because by the time you add the backing to your piece, it will pull together. It will all, it's like this strengthens the entire piece. Okay. Push him down, push him down. We want our snowman on there, good. Okay. Oh, he's so cute. He's so cute in there. Okay. And then for this one, now because it's smaller, you can use this knotting cord and it would look quite cute. But again, because I like the farmhouse look, yes, Mama is using jute again. Okay, and this time I am going to actually put the knot downside. If you wanted to, you could put it the other way, and that way you can adjust it because it is a small piece. Actually, I might do it upside down. You guys are talking me into it. Okay, so you want to find your top, put your dab of glue, and then set your tying string down. Now, hold that there for a little bit. Okay. The size that I had to cut for this hanger was 9 inches when you fold it in half. Of course, it shortens it and everything. I did cut a, let's see, what did this measure? This was, where's my ruler? 1 1/4 by 1 inch piece of paper to go over my hanger. I'm going to put that on. I suggest before you put this on that you kind of bend it a little bit so that you're not struggling in getting it over top of your jute. And then you use your glue gun. And put that right over the back. And the way that I make sure that I get it on there good is I stick my finger through and push on the paper to bring them together. And voila, I got my little snowman guy for my little tiny trees. These would even be good on a bigger tree. You could do them on a bigger tree. I'm making them specifically for my tiny trees, which later on in my Christmas videos, I will show you what I'm doing with those tiny trees. And everything that I'm doing, I get many of the products from Dollar Tree. I've watched a lot of videos. I love Pinterest. Pinterest is my friend. It's my best friend. And what I do is I take a craft and I look at it and I go, I can make that. And how can I make that and put my twist on it? And I think that's a crafter's, actually a true artist. That's what they do. They can just look at something and know, hey, this is how I'm going to do it. So what I wanted to show you guys, because I had told you I was going to do those little Scrabble ornaments and put them on the tree to be sort of a kind of an accent to the bigger blocks that I'm putting on the tree. These are the bigger blocks that I'm putting on. They're very light wood, and I bought these at a I guess it was a vintage shabby chic Christmas sale. That they have bazaars going everywhere right now, so I've been going to a lot of them just because I love it. I love the atmosphere. So I'm still not sure whether I'm going to use this ribbon to put them all together. I attached these little screws on the back that you hang pictures with because there was nothing on the back. I think a lot of people just use these to sit on a shelf. I'm going to actually string them up and put them on my tree, and it's going to say Merry Christmas. So I bought this black and white ribbon, and it is actually Halloween ribbon, which I don't care. It matches my tree. So Dollar Tree, and I don't know how long this will last. If you're doing a black and white tree like I am, get to your store now before Halloween is over and pick up some black and white ribbon, because I'll do something with that, whether it's a wreath or I use it for my letters. Anyway, that's it. I just wanted to show you today how to make these really cute wood ornaments. The next one I'm going to do, I will be making balls, Christmas balls to hang. So please tune in. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Again, thank you so much for tuning into my channel, Laurie R Creations. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thanks again.